Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fit and fine. So dear students, in last 3 videos, actually I started Ranga's marriage, which is the third lesson. I was supposed to start first lesson. I did not look at the book. So considering it the third lesson, first lesson I started teaching it. So from today let us start the chapter 1 in snapshots. Chapter 3 Ranga's marriage. I'll upload the video lessons later. Okay. So everyone now get ready with your book. We are going to read The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by William Saroyan. Okay. So let's begin this beautiful chapter about two Armenian boys. The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by William Saroyan. Let us first discuss about the author, William Saroyan. He was born on 31st August 1908 and died on 18th May 1981. Armenian American novelist, playwright and short story writer. He was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 1940. In 1943, won the Academy Award for the film adaptation of his novel, The Human Comedy. Saroyan wrote extensively about the Armenian immigrants' life in California. Some of his best known works are The Time of Your Life, My Name is Aram, and My Heart's in the Highlands. So here you can see Armenia on the world map. The part which has been highlighted in yellow, so that is Armenia. Let us come to know about Armenian Holocaust. The Armenian genocide was the Ottoman government's systematic extermination of 1.5 million Armenians. The genocide was carried out during and after World War I and implemented in 2 phases. The wholesale killing of the able-bodied male population through massacre and subjection of army conscripts to forced labor, followed by the deportation of women, children, the elderly and the infirm on death marches leading to Syrian desert. Here you can see Armenian genocide, how they were killed, how brutally they were killed. Now let's begin. Beautiful white horse. So now everyone get ready with your book. We are going to begin with the lesson. The story is about two poor Armenian boys who belong to a tribe whose hallmarks are trusted and honesty. So the story which we are going to read, it is about two Armenian boys who belong to the tribe which was famous for their honesty. One day back, there in the good old days, when I was 9 and the world was full of every imaginable kind of magnificence, and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream. My cousin Murad, who was considered crazy by everybody who knew him except me, came to my house at 4 in the morning and woke me up tapping on the window of my room. So narrator tells us that one day, early in the morning, in good old days, they were the good old days, when he was 9 and the world of full of every imaginable kind of magnificence, and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream. Then his cousin Murad, who was considered crazy, his cousin Murad was considered crazy by everyone apart from the narrator. By everybody who knew him except me. Here Murad came to the narrator's house at 4 in the morning and woke him up tapping on the window of his room. So Murad came on a white beautiful horse and he tapped on narrator's window and made him wake up. Aram, he said. So what is the name of narrator? Yes, his name is Aram. I jumped out of bed and looked out of window. So at this the narrator jumped out of his bed and he looked at the window. Looked out of the window. I couldn't believe what I saw. So the narrator could not believe what he had seen. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with the daybreak not many minutes around the corner of the world, it was light enough for me to know I wasn't dreaming. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with the daybreak not many minutes around, it was the time of early morning, and it was light enough for it was light enough to understand that, to realize that the narrator was not dreaming. So whatever the narrator could see, it was happening in reality, because it was light enough to believe that he was not dreaming. My cousin Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. I stuck my head out of the window and rubbed my eyes. So the narrator, he stuck his head out of the window and he rubbed his eyes. Yes, he said in Armenian, it's a horse. Then he said in Armenian, it's a horse. You are not dreaming. Make it quick if you want to ride. So Murad told Aram, the narrator, that he was not dreaming, and if he want to ride the horse, then he should come fast. Now look at the next page. I knew my cousin Murad enjoyed being alive more than anybody else. So he said that he knew Murad very well, his cousin Murad very well. He used to enjoy his life more than anyone. I knew my cousin Murad enjoyed being alive more than anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake. But this was more than I could believe. He knew that Murad used to enjoy his life a lot, but what he could see this time, he could not believe it. It was beyond the belief what he could see this time. In the first place, my earliest memories had been memories of horses, and my first longings had been longings to ride. So he said that in the first place, his earliest memories had been memories of horses, as the narrator also enjoyed riding the horse. So this was the wonderful part. So as he had seen Murad on a white beautiful horse, and Murad was inviting him to ride the horse. So that is why he said also it had to be the beautiful part. It had been his memory. He also loved to ride the beautiful white horse. So in the first place, he wanted to ride that beautiful horse, but in the second place, he was thinking that we were poor. This was the part that wouldn't permit me to believe what I saw. He said that as they were poor, so that is why the narrator could not believe what he had seen. We had no money. Our whole tribe was poverty stricken. He said they had no money and they were very poor. The whole tribe of theirs, their whole tribe was the victim of poverty. Every branch of Garuglanian family was living in the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. He said every branch of the Garuglanian family, the Armenian tribe. So Garuglanian family, it's an Armenian tribe. He said every branch of Garuglanian family was living in the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. Nobody could understand where we ever got money enough to keep us with food in our bellies. So he said that it was very difficult for them to live hand to mouth. So it was very difficult for himself to fill their bellies. Not even the oldest men of the family. Most important of all, though, we were famous for our honesty. So here the author tells us two things. First, they were poverty stricken. They were poverty, sorry. First thing, they were poverty stricken, and second, they were famous for their honesty. Sorry, it is honesty. First, they were poverty stricken, and second, they were famous for their honesty. So that is why no one could believe. That is why the author could not believe that from the his cousin Aram had bought that horse. Okay, they could not afford to buy a horse. So from where he had bought? So first they were poverty stricken, they could not afford to buy a horse. Second, they were famous for their honesty. So they could not steal too. So these two things here the narrator tells us. Because of that, he was thinking from where Murad had got that beautiful white horse. Nobody could understand. Okay, we have done this. We had been famous for our honesty for something like 11 centuries. So they were famous for their honesty from 11 centuries, even when we had been the wealthiest family in what we like to think was the world. We were proud first, honest next, and after that we believed in right and wrong. None of us would take advantage of anybody in the world, let alone steal. He said they were very honest, they could not take advantage of anyone and let alone the steal. Consequently, even though I could see the horse so magnificent, even though I could smell it so lovely, even though I could hear it breathing so exciting, I couldn't believe the horse had anything to do with my cousin Murad, or with me, or with any of the members of our family, asleep or awake, because I knew my cousin Murad couldn't have brought the horse, and if he couldn't have brought it, must have stolen it, and I refused to believe he had stolen it. Now the narrator Aram is in dilemma. He tells us that the Garablanian family, the Armenian tribe, they were famous for their honesty since last 11 centuries. So they could not take advantage of anyone, let alone the steal. So this was the first thing. Second thing, they were poverty stricken. They could not afford to buy the horse. So from where, as Aram thought, Murad could not steal a horse because they were famous for their honesty. So that is why he was thinking from where Murad has brought that horse, from where he brought that white beautiful horse. No member of Garablanian family could be a thief. I stared first at my cousin and then at the horse. He said no one could be a thief in Armenian family. He first stared his cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, which on the one hand delighted me, on the other hand frightened me. So he could see a sacred stillness, a sacred peace on Murad's face as well as on the face of horse. But at the first glance, he was very happy because he had got the horse. He wanted to ride. He also loved to ride on it. But on the other hand, he was also frightened because now he was sure that Murad had stolen this horse. Murad, I said, where did you steal the horse? Then the author asked him from where Murad had stolen that horse. Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. So at this he said, if Murad wanted to ride, then he should leap out of window. He did not answer to Aram's question. It was true then, he had stolen the horse. Now it was true that Murad had stolen that horse. There was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not, as I chose. So He was inviting him whether if he wanted to ride, he could come. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else, such as money. For all I knew, maybe it wasn't stealing at all. If you were crazy about the horses, the way my cousin Murad and I were, it wasn't stealing. It wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse, which of course I knew we would never do. So now the narrator Aram concluded that if you are stealing something and is selling for money, then it can be defined as stealing, as they stole the horse but not for selling. So that is why it cannot be considered stealing. Let me put on some clothes, I said. He said, as he wanted to ride, so he said, let me put on some clothes. All right, he said, but hurry. I leaped into my clothes. I jumped down to the yard from the window and leaped up onto the horse behind my cousin Murad. Now they both sat on the horse for riding, and Aram sat behind his cousin Murad for riding. That year we lived at the edge of the town. They were living at the edge of the town on Walnut Avenue. So they used to live in Walnut Avenue. Behind our house was the country, vineyards, orchards, irrigation ditches, and the country roads. So behind their house, vineyards, orchard, irrigation ditches, and country roads. In less than 3 minutes, we were on Olive Avenue. So in less than 3 minutes, they reached on Olive Avenue, and then the horse began to trot. Then the horse started trotting. Trotting means the way a horse, jumps. The air was new and lovely to breathe. The feel of the horse running was wonderful. My cousin Murad, who was considered one of the craziest members of our family, began to sing. So Murad, according to author, he was considered the craziest member of their family. He started to sing. He began to roar. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere. He said every family has someone who is crazy. And my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. So further he says that his brother Murad, or his cousin Murad, was considered the crazy streak in their tribe. Before him was our uncle Khosrow, an enormous man with a powerful head of black hair and the largest mustaches in the San Joaquin Valley. San Joaquin Valley, one of the long interior valleys of California. So he tells us about another craziest person who was his uncle Khusro. He was also the craziest person, and he had powerful head of black hair and the largest mustache in the San Joaquin Valley. A man of furious in temper. So he was a man who was furious in his temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. So he could, so impatient and so such kind of person, so irritable person he was, that he could stop anyone from roaring. It is no harm, he used to say, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. Okay, he always used to say, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. So after he had told about Aram, he told us about Khusro. Uncle Khusro was a man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. So it was his patent word he used to say, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. So he said Murad was the crazy descendant to Uncle Khosrow. It was all, no matter what anybody happened to be talking about. Once it was his own son, Arak, running 8 blocks to the barber's shop, where his father was having his mustache trimmed, to tell him their house was on fire. So one day his son, Arak, came running by 8 blocks. He informed that his house was on fire. This man, Khusro, sat up in the chair and roared, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." Uncle Khusro, he sat up on the chair, he said, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber said, "But the boy says your house is on fire." So Khusro roared enough, "It is no harm, I say." So Khusro shouted, he roared enough, "It is no harm, I say." Pay no attention to it. When barber reconfirmed, saying that his house was on fire, at this he replied, "Pay no attention to it." Okay, it does not make any difference. This is what he said. My cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of this man. So the narrator's brother Murad was considered the natural descendant of Uncle Khosrow. Although Murad's father was Zorab, who was practical and nothing else, and Zorab was very practical person. He was, here author wanted to tell us that Murad was not like Zorab, his father Zorab, at all. He was just opposite to him. That's how it was in our tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit. He said a man could be father of his own son, but it cannot be father of the son's spirit. The distribution of the various kinds of spirit of our tribe had been from the beginning capricious and vagrant. He says that such types of quality in his tribe was very common, and it was from beginning. It was since then, when they were not having any permanent house to live in, when they kept on moving from one place to another place, they did not settle anywhere permanently. So it was continuing since that time. It was not new trend, it was not new nature in Gregorian family. Okay dear students, so it's all about this video lesson. So you can mark till here. In the next video lesson, we will go through a few more pages of this lesson. So thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.